Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Deb Bussinger, the Program Coordinator at Leesburg Public Library. Today's presentation is called Free and Open Source Software, presented by Emily Morgan, who is a librarian here at the Leesburg Public Library. And Emily's been here for almost 3 years, and when she came to us, she was already in the process of earning her Master's of Library Information Sciences and completed that since she's been employed here at the library. So we're thrilled to have her here. And how she ended up here is a great story, so it's just a thrill. The program that she's presenting today is a program that she provided to the staff as a professional development program for us. And we thought it was so good that we asked her to present it to the public. So she's here doing that today. Emily lives in Inverness. She listens to podcasts and audiobooks, and she works here on the second floor. And Emily, thank you very much, and you can take it from here.
Thank you, Deb. All right, I'm going to start to share my screen. So first, all right, share. All right, slideshow. All right, so today you're going to be listening to Free and Open Source, presented by me, Emily Morgan. So on the agenda today, we're going to define open source, or what you'll commonly see as OSS, the differences between free applications and OSS, the pros and cons of OSS versus free counterparts, the types of free educational resources, types of OSS, and then my ever-growing reference list. So to start off, we're going to define open source software, or again, OSS. So Merriam-Webster defines this as of software having the source code freely available for possible modification and redistribution. So the main difference between proprietary software and open source software is proprietary software is one that possesses, owns, or holds exclusive rights to something. So it's usually paid, has fees associated with it, and is not available for distribution under penalty of law. And then open source is software or programs created to be modified and redistributed freely. It is literally free and protected under the Creative Commons license, so it can be distributed openly. So some other things to kind of note with free and open source, or the differences between something that is free and then something that is truly open source, is open source has a modifiable code which can be shared or redistributed to improve the software application. And the example I use is if you have a glitch or a bug, it can be easily identified and corrected if you know how to code, or if the person who is giving you this application fixes it for you, as opposed to like a free software application that you download onto like a mobile device or a tablet. That's not modifiable, so it comes as is. So again, a glitch or a bug, once identified, is corrected when the creators release an update. So again, you see that pretty often in some apps that you download for your phone. So some pros and cons between open source. So the pros are the initial cost. It's pretty low because it's sustained by a couple of companies that support this to be distributed freely and openly. It's reliable. It's got a lot of longevity. If you've got a lot of support from a company, your software can go pretty long. Security is pretty good, and then it's flexible again because you can change the code yourself, or when you download it, it's already modified the way that it needs to be. And then some cons are sometimes there's not a lot of support IT-wise for open source. Sometimes in the beginning, there was a lot of orphaned software, or software that just kind of started out as a good idea and then was not supported and disappeared. Security, again, can be both a pro and a con, because you could have really good security with a well-known open source business or software, and then you can have a new company come along and not have great security. And then usability. Open source software is usually self-taught. So if you have something that's truly open source, you'll have to teach yourself how to use that specific application. And then free pros and cons versus OSS. So the pros of open source is it's usually supported cross-platform, which means that it's easily downloaded onto a Windows or a Samsung. It's easily downloaded or uploaded, user-friendly, this is free, and associated with large, well-known companies, Google or Apple. Those are the main ones you'll see with apps. And then the cons are it needs, most of the time, free website or free applications need regular updates. They're not associated with large companies. Sometimes they're freemium, or they have in-app purchasing. There's a little bit of a learning curve, and unsupported cross-platform free apps. So not available for download on something like Android or iOS, which you see quite a bit. So like I could have something that I download onto my phone, which is an Android, and then you could have something that you can download that I can't, because it's only supported on iOS or Android specific, which we're not running into a whole lot now. Most everything is easily interchanged. So the criteria for something being completely open source is it has to be cross-platform, which means it must be supported on Mac, Android, iOS, Linux, and any Windows product. It has to be stable, actively maintained, and well documented, and also well supported. So most of what you're going to see in the rest of this PowerPoint, aside from the background that I just gave, is a whole bunch of free resources that you can easily find from this website. So it's called freelearninglist.org. And again, it features a curated learning list. Some of these resources are free, and some of them are freemium. So some of them do have kind of like a subscription. So you get the first couple of months free, and then you have to pay for everything else. But everything I've listed here is completely and wholly free. So another little note to check something. So if you, specifically on YouTube or kind of Instagram or any other kind of social media platform, you usually want to look for a verification check mark. Not every platform has these, but I know YouTube and Instagram do specifically. So if a channel is verified, it's the official channel of the creator, artist, company, or public figure. Verified channels help distinguish official channels from other channels with similar names. And the example that I give is a YouTube channel that I quite enjoy called Brave Wilderness. See the little verification check mark right here. That's what you're looking for if you're watching a video on YouTube. But this guy is a wildlife enthusiast, and he has a biologist who's also his photographer, who goes around and they do little like mini series on different types of animals in different parts of the world. Recently, he did one on newts and where to find them, and I got very excited because I was like, ooh, I can find those here. So a little bit more on YouTube. So these are some verified channels that you can get a lot of really good information from. So there's TED Ed, BBC Earth, Animal Planet, also Animal Planet for Kids, Crash Course, NASA, WHO, so the World Health Organization, features playlists in several different languages, which I thought was really cool. The Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, pretty much every national museum has a YouTube channel that's verified, and a lot of them now are doing like a virtual kind of exhibition series, so you can get to see a different exhibition as opposed to visiting in person. Then you have National Geographic, and of course, BBC News. And then podcasts, again, something that I really, really enjoy, just kind of free radio, if you will. Hardcore History is kind of a deep dive into history. Reply All is a kind of, is a podcast that features a lot of kind of technology and what's going on today. Reading Glasses is a podcast about books and kind of expanding your reading. Sawbones, A Marital Tour of Misguided Medicine, is a podcast that I specifically listen to also. It has a husband and wife team. So the wife is a doctor and the husband is the kind of layperson. And so she'll bring up a specific type of medical topic, and then he'll ask questions as if he were a layperson, and she gives the examples and she gives a really good kind of background on what she's talking about. Radio Lab is kind of a deep dive into radio. Mindscape is, again, it's got a little bit of I want to say meditation. So that one's a good one to kind of get clear headspace and just kind of get your thinking cap. Lore, it talks about a whole bunch of different types of folklore from across all types of planes. Switchblade Sisters is a podcast about horror genre, specifically film industry. And then Song Exploder goes into the kind of history of songs and different parts of like theory, so music theory. And so online virtual courses, so these are kind of what you'll see. You can kind of teach yourself, go at your own pace, kind of free courses. So Coursera is one of them, Future Learn, Khan Academy, Google Classroom, Google Digital Garage, which features just IT, I'm pretty sure it's like mostly technology, edX, Class Central, Udemy, and Academic Earth. And then programming. So if you're into programming or want to get into programming or have anyone who's super interested in it, you've got Code, the Odin Project, Code Academy, Khan Programming. Coursera, again, offers different kinds of programming. Then you've got edX Computer Science, Raspberry Pi, and Scratch and Python. And I know that here we have a youth services assistant down on the second floor who uses Scratch and Python for some of her programming with the kids. It's very popular. And then if you want to teach yourself a language, here are a couple of free resources. Now, if you want to just use Babbel and the free, like Babbel does have a pay-as-you-go kind of subscription, but if you just want to use it wholly in its free aspect, it's pretty decent. So we've got Duolingo, you've got Babbel, Google Translate within reason. So Google Translate doesn't always get it right. You've got Memorize, Usu, Rosetta Stone, Hello Talk, and Hi Native. And I really like Hi Native because at Hi Native, you can actually speak with natives of the language you're trying to learn, whether it be video, just a chat, or you can text. So you can learn to text in that same language. And then books. So if you like to read free books, or if you're always looking for more ebooks, you've got the Gutenberg Project, which is digitizing bunches of titles that are no longer in copyright. LibriVox, you can get ebooks and listen. Many books, free ebooks, Open Library, and then OpenStax is pretty cool because it's an open source kind of website specifically for college textbooks. They don't have everything, but they've got a pretty decent selection. And then PDF Drive is another way that you can just kind of access or read ebooks. And then music. So if you'd like to teach yourself some music, you've got MuseLab, Justin Guitar, Ableton Learning, Soundation, YouTube, 12 Tone, Paul Davis. YouTube has a ton of musicians who do small little snippets. So if you have a favorite musician who's still alive, who has a YouTube channel, 9 times out of 10, they're on there and they're doing some type of small little rudiment or some type of mini class. And then you have Light Note and Songster. And then for cognition and decision making. So these are kind of the kind of free your brain apps and things like that. So you've got Lumosity, Peak, Elevate, Clearer Thinking, Your Fallacy Is, Your Bias Is, Bad News, Kialo, and Farnham Street Blog. And again, these are just kind of, some of them are, you know, cognition, helping with brain training, and some of them are decision making or kind of helping you expand your way of thinking. And then how-to/DIY. So you've always got WikiHow, you've got Lifehacker, Make Use Of, Instructables, which I think is really cool. So if you go to Instructables, it's a website that like lists or has all of the instruction kits for like a ton of different types of things. Like you can find IKEA furniture instructions. So like if you have a piece of IKEA furniture that you don't know where the instructions are, but you really need to kind of fix something on it or buy a part for it and you don't remember what it's called and it's out of market, so to speak, you can more than likely find it on this website. And then How Stuff Works is kind of like how it's made. And then eHow, which again is like a WikiHow kind of website. And then kind of general knowledge or FYI. So wait, but what is one of those, I didn't know that kind of apps. And then you've got TED, NPR, Wikipedia. Now again, Wikipedia is not something that you go to always and very often, but it is a very good kind of resource for cursory information, and then you go from there. Information is Beautiful, Big Think, Vox Explainers, and Visual Capitalist. And Visual Capitalist, I'm pretty sure, just does like capitalism and finances. And then photo editing. So you've got some different types of photo editing software apps. So you've got Polar, then you've got GIMP, Inkscape, Krita, Pinta, Darktable, and Shotwell. And these are, again, just editing the photos. They're not doing anything to the makeup. So like you can just kind of change the background, you can lighten it, you know, that kind of thing. A little bit like Instagram, but a little bit less hassle if you don't want to do the social media thing. And then again, for video editing, if you're looking for something that's, you know, kind of easy to use if you're not used to YouTube, you've got VLC, Handbrake, Clipchamp, Lightworks, Shortcut, DaVinci Resolve, OpenTunes, and Avid Media Composer First. And then for audio editing, you've got Audacity, Ardor, LMMS, and
any controls appear around on the screen of the phone.
And then for audio recording, you have Behringer Euphoria UMC22. You have Presonus AudioBox USB, Focusrite Scarlett, and then Arturia Audio Fuse or OBS. So again, if you just, you need some audio recording kind of software, these are kind of the big names that you'll see. And then video capturing. So you've got Blackmagic Design and then Epiphone. And then if you're into trying to teach yourself 2D or 3D animation, you've got Blender, Signify Studios, or TupiTube, which is kind of like YouTube, but again, specifically just for learning how to do animation or drawing. And then alternatives to Microsoft, you've got LibreOffice, Apache OpenOffice, Notepad++, which is Windows only, Adobe Acrobat Reader, which most people have, Sumatra, yeah, which is again just kind of a reader, and WinRAR. And then file archiver, archiver, again, WinRAR, PZip, WinZip, B1 Free Archiver, or FreeArc.
Hi, everybody. I just want to break in here. I can tell we're having some audio problems, so we're working on it. Please keep yourself muted.
So if you're looking at security and password management, so for security, Malwarebytes, Proton, F-Cleaner, VPNs, again, virtual privacy networks are always really good security. You've got passwords, so Keepass, Bitwarden, and PasswordSafe. I use Keepass specifically. LastPass is another good one to keep track of your passwords. And so resources. So these are kind of the foundations for open source. So if you want any kind of information on open source, or if you're looking at some types of open source software and you're not sure if you should trust it, these are kind of the names that you'll look for. So you've got Red Hat Inc., the Linux Foundation, opensource.com. Opensource.com also has kind of a little how-to on how to get started with open source. You've got OpenStack, Freenode, and then getting started in open sourcing specifically from the Red Hat Society. And again, Wikipedia is a really good kind of resource to start off looking at some open sourcing or what open source is all about. If you just kind of want a cursory knowledge of open source. And so if you are interested in podcasts about open source, there's Bad Voltage, hosted by a team of from opensource.com. Then you've got Floss Weekly, Free as in Freedom, GNU World Order, Hacker Public Radio, Open Ed Tech, which is, it discusses, I know specifically this one discusses kind of some issues that people are having in open source tech-wise. So that's pretty interesting. And then you've got Open Source Creative. And that leaves it up for my reference list. And questions or comments?
Emily,
Mm-hmm.
is the security software free?
It is, yes.
Ah,
Yeah, those are all of the ones that I listed are ones that you don't have to pay for and are pretty decent on their own being free.
okay.
And again, they're kind of alternatives in case you don't want to pay for McAfee or some type of really expensive.
Norton, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And how do the password things work? Keepass, and how do you store all your passwords there?
Yes, you do. Keepass and LastPass are pretty much the same, except for the fact that Keepass is specifically open sourced because that's what they wanted it to be. They wanted whoever created it, I believe it was opensource.com, wanted something that was wholly free. But it works in kind of the same way that your iPhone asks you to save passwords. It's just a little bit more secure in the sense that it's also uh, password protected. So I know LastPass has a password to get in and then a security, kind of a security question, and then you get to all of your passwords that are stored. And I know it's a lot of more passwords to get to your passwords, but you know, it does keep them safe.
Hey, Emily, did you have that link, that learning link that you could possibly go to show us?
So where the resources were?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Did you open? Okay, can everybody see that? Yeah, okay. So this is the website that I basically built this presentation off of, and it gives you, so if you scroll down here, so it gives you like a breakdown of like most popular websites, and then it gives you the link to them, so it'll link right here. If you click on it, it gives you a little description, and then it gives you a score. So this website scored it at a 94. I'm not quite sure what the scoring is based off of, other than the fact that they felt that this delivered the best kind of information for the platform it was proposed upon. So this one says, beautifully scripted, animated, and directed video explainer videos cover subjects ranging from space, biology, and history through a philosophy of existential understanding of self. And so it kind of, if you ever like want to look for something, like again, TED Ed, as I mentioned earlier, is nicely animated videos about a broad range of subjects. Each video is collaborative effort between an expert and an animator to create a useful and engaging way to understanding something. So that's just kind of what the featured content looks like here. And then you can scroll down here and you can load more. And again, you can look at the score that it's been given. You can get the info. You can look at, again, like I said, hardcore deep dive into history. It's pretty interesting. I do enjoy it. And then you've got the courses. And let's see, edX, I think, was specifically, yeah, edX is a global nonprofit funded by Harvard and MIT and is home to more than 20 million learners, a majority of top-ranked universities in the world and industry-leading companies. So this one is, edX is pretty awesome.
But that would be for, those of us who have not attended Harvard or MIT, right? I mean, specifically for that purpose, correct?
Right, and it's got like a lot of like different topics that you can enroll in. So you can enroll in like little mini classes, and it's kind of like I know that you can like, there's specific learning tracks for like different types of law and different types of technology that you can take that are more accessible to someone who's not pursuing that as a degree.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. I was like, ooh, that's awesome. And then again, you just got some more general things, some more language, some more programming. Again, the books, and the music, and then how to. Any other questions?
When you presented to the staff, we were all fascinated by the effective thinking area, and we talked about your fallacies and your biases and all of that. Can you kind of recap what the intent is here?
So this is another part of the, let me see if it'll link to it from down here. So this is kind of like a critical thinking kind of logical fallacies that you'll come across. And so you can click on them and you can see what they mean. So the straw man is you misinterpreted someone's argument to make it easier to attack. By exaggerating, misinterpreting, or just completely fabricating someone's argument, it's much easier to present your own position as being reasonable. But this kind of dishonesty serves to undermine honest, rational debate. So some of the examples they list are, after Will said he should put more money into health and education, Warren responded by saying that he was surprised that Will hates our country so much that he wants to leave it defenseless by cutting military spending. So again, it just kind of introduces topics as logical fallacies and what they're actually called, which I think is very interesting. So like you can go through the entire list and learn. Oh, is it gonna do it for me? And learn exactly what each kind of fallacy is, or what kind of like names a critical thinking capacity that you wouldn't have thought had a name before. And then your bias is pretty similar. So let's see if it'll, let me click on it. Okay, your bias is. Yeah, and again, so this one is negativity bias. So you allow negative things to disproportionately influence your thinking. And again, so the pain of loss and hurt are felt more keenly and presently than the fleeting gratification of pleasant things. We are primed for survival, and our aversion to pain can distort our judgment for modern world in an evolutionary context. It makes sense for us to be heavily biased to avoid threats, but because this bias affects our judgment in other ways, it means we aren't giving enough weight to the positives. So again, if you have a specific way of thinking, or if you are curious about a different type of topic that could be considered bias, you can definitely see in this website just kind of a general description and some types of kind of examples. And it's very interesting to go through and see that the way that we think, or we think that we're acting a certain way and it's positive, when really we're acting a certain way and it's negative, or it affects people in a negative way. Anything else?
Talk about your next program that you're offering at the end of January about podcasts.
All right. So on January 26th, I am going to be offering a kind of more centralized presentation about podcasts, how to get them, where to get them, the history of podcasts, and how to download them onto particular devices. Specifically, I'm going to focus on Android and iPhone products, and also computers. So you can listen to podcasts on your desktop as well if you're more comfortable doing that. So it's just, I go through kind of more in depth into podcasting as opposed to just listing some podcasts to listen to. And then you're like, well, I don't know where to get those from. So my next presentation will be about where to find them and how to get them.
One of the reasons why we thought this would be particularly interesting to people from the library is because it's exploding in popularity. So quickly that there's a lot of people who just even don't know that they exist, and they may have heard the word but they don't know what it means, or they could be somewhere where, like me, I listen to 2 podcasts religiously, but I don't know what else to do. I'm interested in more, you know. So there's this whole growing thing that I have found it to be one of the best ways for me to get my information. I just really love the feel of it, and I don't feel so intimidated or knocked off my senses by television blaring at me and you know, people looking at me and kind of screaming. I don't, you know, can't do that. The podcasts are different, and you control it. You control the volume. You control the content, and so I am looking forward to your presentation for sure on the 26th.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to presenting it. It was very fun to kind of get into some podcasts that I didn't think I would like personally, but have listed anyway, because I think that eventually I'll probably get around to listening to them. So I do have like a little recommendation section too at the back end of the presentation. So
Great. Well, thank you so much for today's presentation. This session has been recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. And to anybody who was registered, we'll get the link.
okay.
Thank you very much, Emily.
Thank you, Deb.
And bye, everyone.
Bye.